Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Bedtime Stories podcast. And today's guest is Tanya Tate. She's an amazing woman who is wearing multiple hats from cosplayer, entrepreneur, adult star to PR specialist, writer, director. But apart from that, she's also an amazing mother and an amazing human being. And today we are excited to learn more about you and how all of these roles combine in one person and debunk some myths about adult entertainment and about where it's all going. Thank you so much for getting in bed with Kate.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. I like your bed.
It's metaphoric bed, but I think today we are actually in bed with you, right? Because
Yeah.
today we are gonna learn more
Yes.
about you.
It's like slipping under the sheets, and it's like, what secrets are under there?
Yeah. So, Tanya, you are one of the most recognized performers in MILF genre. And of course, I'm sure there is a lot that you can tell our viewers about what contributed to such a successful career. But before we get into that, could you please tell us a little bit about your early years, about your moving to city of Los Angeles all
Yeah.
the way from UK?
Yeah. I'd been working in an office and, I'd finished in a relationship and I was kind of bored and I was hanging out with this guy. And we were just kind of sitting like we are right now. And he had the screen and he had this movie on, and it was this porn movie, this like adult sex movie. And I was like, he's sitting there like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm sitting there going, hmm, hmm, interesting. And then I just kind of put myself there in that place and I was like, oh, I could do that. And so I literally went to some sex shops in the northwest of England, and I had the girl taking the DVDs off off the shelf, and I was writing down the information of the studios. So I had some pictures taken. I sent them off. Some of the studios liked me. They invited me to London. I did a shoot, and it went from there. So that was in 2008. I shot for a lot of the UK companies. And then it was kind of like time to make my step to the US. I did some scenes in Europe. Well, I was shooting in the UK and then I went to Europe and they're all gonna laugh. It's like, um, I guess it was like Budapest or, out that way. And I shot some scenes out there. But then, the next move is kind of to come to the US. So I ended up making the step. I made the move to the US in 2010. So, it felt like the right step to, progress my career. I'd shot with all the main UK companies, and to kind of progress yourself, you kind of needed to move across. Um, so that was kind of like the way that I got into the industry.
Okay, let me just clear something out. So basically, you were working at the office, right? And
Hmm.
then you watched porn for the first time,
Wasn't the first time, no.
or it was just somebody who actually suggested that you might be good at that.
No, no one suggested I was gonna I was watching it. The guy was into it. It was his movie. He was watching it. I guess I wasn't really that much into the guy. I was watching the action take place on the scene and I was like, God, yeah, that's what I want to do. It's like a red light moment.
That's pretty amazing. The fact that United States is responsible for basically one fourth of world production of porn,
Right.
right? And then you have UK that is on a second place and Europe on the third place. How is the industry is different in Europe versus here?
Yeah. So the UK, I can really only comment about the UK. I only did a few days in Europe, so I'm not really that sure. But the UK was kind of like a smaller version of the US. The budgets were smaller. It was you would kind of go to set and it's cold. I can remember being in a studio in London and it's dark and it's cold, and I'm like, "Where's the heater?" There's no heater, and you're freezing cold. So as soon as you stop your scene, you're putting on your winter coat to try and stay warm. So budget's a lot lower, and you kind of come to the US, and we were shooting in mansions, these $1 million mansions in like Beverly Hills and Hollywood Hills, and you're like, wow, this is amazing. It felt a lot more glamorous. Um, so in general, I would say in the main, it was definitely more of a budget thing, and you were paid more in the US for your scene. The scene rate was higher, and the quality of the movie in general was higher, So I would say that was the difference.
Yeah, and definitely when I go to the hub like Pornhub or Xvideos, I can always tell if the movie was shot here or somewhere in Eastern Europe. It's not only about how cold it's there, but I understand when it's cold like this, you do want to move to Los Angeles
Yeah.
already. But also the fact that there is not much storyline, there is no such approach to porn movie like to a regular movie, because and the same goes for movie industry as a whole. If you compare the capability of like Hollywood production versus to some small country in Europe, yes, it's a big difference. But the whole point that in the US, I think some production companies, they really set a very high
Yeah.
standard of how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And when you watch it, you are not watching just sexual acts, you are watching it like a movie.
Yeah.
When I show people VR bangers, for example, and the movies they make, like sometimes it feels that this movie cost maybe more than some movie that is actually in the movie theater right now,
Wow.
because it's just how much effort and how many people are involved in just one
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah, yeah, don't get me wrong, there are still smaller studios in the US, where there might be just the guy turning up with his assistant, that's your crew. Sometimes you'll be lucky if you get a makeup artist. So there are those studios, but they have like the really high-end studios, at the time, the digital playground, they would do the big productions, Wicked, they would really come out with these big budgets and throw everything into it, and it was like Hollywood quality. Um, so it's a whole range in the US, whereas in the UK it was just you kind of had the smaller type, and that was it. One of my movies that I did do in the UK, it was fun, very amazing. So I'd gone to Ireland. 'Cause I love Ireland. So I went to Dublin on a weekend with my friend, and a guy is like he said, "I'm a journalist. I want to interview you." So I said, "Okay, fine." So he did this interview with me. He works for a music magazine, and I'm like, where does porn and music fit in? But he was convinced it was going to work. So I said, okay. And during the interview, he said to me, he said, would you make a movie in Ireland? And I said, well, maybe I'll come across and see if some of the Irish lads want to be in a movie with me. I said, what you reckon? He said, oh, yes, yes, yes. The Irish, we want to make a movie with you. I said, okay, yeah. And so we were having a little bit of banter. Anyway, he was leaving. At some point, this guy was leaving the music magazine. So we run this big feature on this porn star. It was like, oh, he did do it. He told me he would do it. And from there, it was like, oh, Tanya Tate is making a movie in Ireland. She's looking for Irish lads to be in it. And I was like, am I? Yeah, I am. Yeah. So I approached a company at the time that Television X. So it's like the British version of HBO, late night HBO, where you flick the channels and you see all the movies. And so it was the UK version of that, very small budget compared to the big budget of the US companies. And I said, you know what? I've got this concept. They liked it and they said, okay. So they sent me around Ireland. I took a camper van. I went on a motorbike and I invited all these Irish lads and they come in, they all made me camper van rock. And it was the best thing. It was the funnest thing. It was raining like it was like the worst floods in Ireland for 50 years. So much we drove into Cork and they were like, okay, all the water's shut off because the river banks had overflowed. Like, what are you gonna do? It was great. And from there, Irish, when it came out, Ireland loved it and they were putting it front page of the newspaper. And then they were like, do you know these guys? Like, we will pay you. And these poor guys were getting ratted out because they just wanted to come and have a bang with their favorite porn star, the favorite Liverpool porn star. But it was great. There was a guy that came and he was called Greg Jacob and he was like a pro-am, professional, semi-pro, or whatever you call it, hurling, which is a very Irish sport. So of course the press made a big deal of that and that was a lot of fun. But I do say that they did report in the press something else, which it made me kind of I was a little bit in shock, a little bit of an awe. But the press reported that two people had gone. and did this fancy dress, and it was Tanya Tate and Greg Jacob. And that was the fancy dress outfit for that Halloween year. And I was like, okay, I've made it now. Someone's
When it's
dressing up
press,
as
you
me
never know what will come out.
for
Yeah.
Halloween. I was like, oh, so I just thought I'd share that.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Basically, you're like a global star in not in only in adult, but also like also mainstream media,
Yeah.
right? Is that
You
fair to
know, for
say?
that though, we're talking about sex. It's Ireland, they're very they don't really want to talk about sex so much. It's a very Catholic um area, and people can be, especially the older generations, it's very uncomfortable when it comes to sex. But I felt like I was that person that come out and be like, oh look, sex, sex. And I think I got people talking about sex. And if I could have done something like that for the country of Ireland, it's like I feel like I've achieved something. Sex is not something to be ashamed of. We all have it. There are people that try and pretend they don't have it. Maybe they have a lot of children. Like, you know, these are not miracle babies. We all have sex in one shape or form. And it's beautiful to be able to share that with people. And if it means going on a tour around Ireland and getting the press involved to say it's okay.
Totally agree. I think your mission might be in turning sex into a form of art, even.
Yeah. Do you know, I like that what you've just said, like sex into a form of art. I think when we're all on this planet for something. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm an adult star, I'm a porn star, whatever. And then you really sit down there and you think about, well, what is there in life? What am I gonna leave? What is like my legacy? What am I doing here on earth? Like I always feel like we've all won a lottery ticket because we're all here on earth right now. Is that something like really precious? So I'd sit there and I'd think for hours and hours, like, what's my purpose? I realized my purpose is to make other people feel happy and feel so amazing within themselves and about themselves. And I think having an outlet like porn or sex or being able to fantasize about their favorite person and knowing that it's in a safe space and someone telling you it's okay. It's okay for self pleasure. It's okay to think about somebody else when you're pleasuring yourself. I mean, I'm in touch with a lot of my fans. I'm very open. I have a child, and I have a YouTube channel, and it's years ago. I'm pregnant. Like, what am I going to do? I'm not making movies, and I'm like, am I going to keep in touch? I felt very disconnected from my fans, so I would just every morning got my baby, stuck him in the seat, and I go live. So I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram live, just talking to them while I'm making me breakfast. And I've kind of gone on from there. So I do on my YouTube channel, I do go live maybe once a week, once every other week. So people do get an insight into me. So it's like they can see that I'm a real person. I'm not just the person that they see on the screen. I'm a real person and this is my life. And I am quite open about it. And I always think as long as people are respectful about it, but I think people like me should be seen as regular people. We are parents. We're all equal on this earth. No one is any better than anyone else. I'm not better than you because I've got more followers on Instagram. We are all the same, and I think we should all share the good vibes and share the love. And I just imagine if we all had love in our hearts rather than some people have got a lot of hate. Imagine if you took that hate away. The world would be so different. Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
fully self-sufficient.
yeah. So I do try and give a lot back to my fans. And so by being on, I do the family friendly streams. And I also do a lot of, we've all got an OnlyFans. So I do the OnlyFans live. So that's where the fans can get to know me a little bit more and get a little bit, maybe we'll get a little bit naughty. I do live streams on my OnlyFans. But I think that where I really get to know my fans is there's an app called Minx, MYNX, and the fans they can text with me, they can sex with me, but they can call me and they can video chat with me. And I think that's where I really get to know some of the fans, and it's so interesting because they will open up. they'll talk to you, they'll tell you their deepest fantasies, you know. And I learn all about these different fantasies that they have. You know, some of them I'm like, oh, okay, that's new. Okay, I'll go along with it. You know, I always think as long as someone's safe and someone is, you know, they're compliant in it, and also, you know, it's it's for adults only. You know, um, I go along with a lot of the fantasies, and you kind of get to see into people's minds. But some of them, they just want to chat to you. They just want to open up. They just want a friend. But I've had people that have told me like really heartbreaking stories, and I'm like, wow, you've been through this, and it breaks your heart. But it's like they come to you to tell a story. It's like, you know, they could go to a therapist. You know, they can get therapy. Maybe the therapist isn't for them. Maybe they don't know how to access it. Maybe they've tried it. Maybe they don't believe in it. And then they come to me and I'm like, you know, I'm not a therapist, I'm not qualified as a therapist, but you can talk to me. Like we can talk this out and, you know, how do you feel? And sometimes I'll be like, well, this is me. Like I'll be thinking about it like this, and this is how I would approach it and how I might feel about it. So how do you feel about it? And so I get them to really open up. You know, they've had some people have had some really bad times in their life. So I try and uplift them. Well,
I think you can definitely qualify as a sex therapist too, because stigma about adult performers, about adult industry, such a terrible thing in the world where sexual shame really dictates so many of your life decisions. So I've been like a sex coach and sex educator apart from like career in B2B retail manufacturing. And so many people would come with some fantasies that they thought that they weren't normal. They would settle with the person, they would marry a person who would never
mhm.
accept them for who
Yeah,
they are,
yeah.
and then like only when they're like 50, 55 years old, they're finally realizing, okay, maybe I have to really like face myself and
Yeah,
who I am.
yeah.
And you help to liberate, you help to start this conversation and talk about sex openly, because the reason why you have so many cases of STDs, why you have so many people like getting pregnant at the age of 13 years old, is because their parents are conditioned that this is a taboo topic.
Yeah.
Then they cannot communicate with their kids, and then you have
Mhm,
schools where also this is like a no-go subject, and how
mhm,
people are supposed to feel sexually empowered, because being sexually empowered is not just about being horny, it's about being creative, it's
mm.
about being confident, it's about speaking up your truth, it's about like all your chakras, it's about too many things in
Yeah,
life. So I think before we get on earth, we choose it consciously to
yeah,
come here at this specific time with the mission. And
yeah.
I think
I
you
This is my
found your
mission.
mission 100%.
I found my mission. It's like, would I want to do anything else? Would I really? I don't know. I'm so happy just interacting and being there for people and, you know, helping them realize that they can better themselves. You know, you can just be there and you can think to yourself, you're having a bad day, and you'd be like, you know what? I'm not having a bad day after all. You know, I've got you know, got a home. I've got food on the table. There's so many small things that you should be grateful for in your life. And you know, bad things can happen. I always think, you know, it's just a bump in the road. It's a challenge, and it's not, you know, oh my God, this is a nightmare. This is like, okay, well, we're gonna have to deal with it, and it's the way that you deal with it and the way that you handle it. You know, I think, and that's in all aspects of life. So it's I feel like that I have a platform that I can kind of sprinkle a little bit of that reminder into people's lives, you know? These
So you are a spiritual person, it's fair to say, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I'm quite spiritual.
Because I think in the age we live in, it's very important to understand that your thoughts are vibrations, right? So a
Mhm.
lot of people who are stuck in negative loops, it's not the life is unfair to them. It's just they need to switch a little bit their thinking and look at this from a different angle.
Need to raise your vibration. You know, once you
Yes.
raise your vibration, like I always used to think you think with your head, but sometimes you got to think with your heart. It's like, what feels good? Does this feel right? Does this feel right for you right now in this moment? You know, and it's like I'm more about feeling now, you know, like I don't know, you asked me to do a podcast and I'm like, oh, does this feel good? I like And I'm like, I like your vibe. I like when we spoke. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do your podcast. And someone might have like, I don't know, millions of followers. I'm just saying like millions of followers. And I'll be like, I don't know if I like their vibe. I don't know, if I don't know if I like the fact that they'll come in and want to ridicule people. I'm like, I don't think I really like that. Like, that's not the podcast for me. Like, I don't want to sit there ridiculing people. You know what I'm saying? Is like, it's, I'm making a lot of life choices based on how I feel. And then sometimes, you're put in situations and it's like, then it starts flowing. It starts flowing and for me, it's me. I'm a single mom and I'm adult entertainer. And I've got to look after my son, got to look after, provide a home for him. But at the same time, what am I doing? Well, I'm doing something that I really enjoy as well, and it's kind of ticking all my boxes. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I also felt this about you when we chatted on Zoom for the first time. When the person comes from the place of love and when there
Mm,
is depth inside and when there is purpose to what you're doing,
yeah.
no matter what you're doing, but
Yeah.
what you are doing is great and it is an art. No matter
Yeah.
what people say, some people, but I consider it art. But also the skill like to build a successful career across the
Mm,
continents, you have to have an entrepreneurial mind for that.
yeah.
And I see a lot of like younger performers, who would come like from the small state to Los Angeles, and then like 2 3 years later they kind of feel lost in the south. What helped you to have this like dedicated path and always keep growing?
Yeah. For me, I did work in an office. So I did have like, a 9 to 5 job. I also worked in a bar of a weekend. So I was very kind of work dedicated and I understood you get up, you got a job to do. You want to get paid, you want to pay your bills, you got to do the work. And I think then when I got into the industry, I was like, oh my God, this pays so much money. I'm like, oh, okay, what am I going to do with it? And I I did a little bit different than most girls. I don't have designer bags. I have designer shoes. Someone buys them for me. I get gifts. They're lovely gifts and I love them. But would I go and spend $2,000 on a bag myself? No. Um, I would invest my money. I've got a mortgage, I've got a house, I've got a car, I pay all my bills. If something happened and I wasn't in the industry anymore, then it's like, I've built something from it. So it's about investing. Invest in yourself and invest in, you know, the put money aside because you're going to come in the industry, you've got a lifespan. You're the it girl right now. Everyone wants to book you, all the studios, all this money's coming. Wow, 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 wow. And then at some point it's like, no, we've had you. We want the new girl now. So it's you've got to save your money and you've got to think about longevity. And then you've got to think about other things. You're in the industry. Are you going to webcam? Are you going to do like OnlyFans? Are you going to talk to your fans on SexPanther, Minx? Are you going to try some of the other platforms? Are you going to try and get like a toy? Something, other things. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Make sure that you're saving your money. Guess what? Make sure you pay your taxes because if you're not paying your taxes, you're going to get 1099 at the end of the year. And it's like, there have been cases of girls that have made a lot of money on OnlyFans and didn't pay a penny in tax. It's like, oh, inland revenue. It's like, there they go. So it's very important to get all of those things in order, and then money that you've got left over, great. Treat yourself, spend it, whatever you want to do, but definitely put stuff away because you're going to come out the other side of this industry and, are you going to be able to get a job as a teacher in a school? Probably not. People are jobs, the nurses, and suddenly, oh, they got an OnlyFans, they get fired. It comes with a taboo. So you're going to get in, you've got to make that choice. Your face is going to be on the internet forever, whether it's hidden behind a paywall or not. It's there online. Someone's always going to find you. There you are, naked selfies, naked videos, porn videos, whatever that you're doing. You've always got an imprint and it's never going to go away. It will always follow you. So you have to accept it. You have to accept that this is a part of me and this is who I am. And if people don't like you for it, then that's on them. They don't have an understanding of it. They're judgmental. But you know what? That's fine. You go and go about your business. But I'm stand proud in what I am and what I've achieved and what I've done.
Because you had a plan. You had a plan of building like your career, your personal brand, right? So It's not
It
just one thing that you are doing, and you are not like, just doing whatever the producer says. So
yeah.
yeah, you are
Yeah,
in control of your.
yeah, I was very much in control of the scenes that I wanted to do. I had a break. I was doing boy girl, then I stopped boy girl. I just did girl girl, and I was directing lesbian movies. But I was trying for a baby for the longest time. I did 4 years on an IVF journey. So there was a big break from me working in a lot of the scenes that the fans wanted. Then I had my baby. Then your body changes. It's like, oh my god, what are you gonna do? It's like you got to get it
It's,
back. You
it
got to
doesn't.
get.
In some cases, apparently, it doesn't.
Yeah, you got to work on getting it back. So, you've got to digress, you've got to multitask, you've got to think about what you're going to do. I went back and OnlyFans was kind of getting big in 2017. I was like, okay, Zoom the solo. Then I'm like, the fans want girl, girl. Okay, come back. First girl, girl back. Phoenix Marie, love that girl. Another very hot MILF. And then, from there, it was like, oh, we want boy, girl, boy, girl. Okay, boy, girl, I'm ready for it. Kieran Lee, like, one of my friends, like a big performer, well-known performer. That was my first boy girl scene back. It's kind of coming up with a plan, what do you want to be, what do you want to do? I did go back and did make some mainstream movies for mainstream, Triple X Productions, and I shot for Vixen, so under the Milfy brand. When I was last shooting, they didn't exist. So I went and did some, there's 4 scenes of me on there. The fans are loving it, but the very high end, very beautiful sets, very, just gorgeous. There's a story, there's some little bit of dialogue, there's acting, hot actors, actresses. And, I think, I resonate with that. And I'm like, I really like that. The fans are like, you're going to shoot for other companies. I'm like, I don't know if they want me to, maybe I'll see who's asking. But it's kind of choosing and picking, what do you want to do? I'm not going to be a girl that's going to be doing anal 5-man gangbang because that's not really something that I really aspire to want to do. But I did want to do anal for the fans, and I did a scene. I did my first anal with a guy called Dan Damage, and he's very well endowed. And I
And
did
you
that.
were awarded for that one, right?
I was nominated, yes.
Okay.
It was award nominated, yes, thank you. Yeah, so it was,
I watched that one.
did you like it? Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Did you like the quality of it? Like there's your Hollywood, Beverly Hills mansion, and like, the cinematic, they have a lot of amazing equipment, a great team, great director, very skilled, everything about that production is just like top class.
So, question: you were a director and an actress, right? So,
Yes.
what it takes to direct a movie, and what it takes to be a good actress?
Yeah. Okay, so it was very low budget. Let's just put it that way. I was allowed a makeup artist, I was allowed a camera guy, and there was an assistant to help the camera guy. It was a very small budget. And I was a director. I would direct some of the scenes. I would be in some of the scenes and directing it. So it was kind of cool because I could get to, think about my own personal fantasies and get my friends to kind of act them out. It was great. So, it's you need a good team. You do need a good team, someone that can, as well as the actors, as you need your production team to be able to put your vision into place. So I was really lucky. I worked with some great people. So, and then to be an actor on the other side of the camera, that, you've got to be very confident in yourself. You've got to believe in yourself, and y- for me, it's like back then I couldn't pick and choose the people I worked with. You kind of get what you're given. But now I do a lot of collabs. I do boy girl collabs. Obviously I've shot some movies, and I can kind of be like, well, I really like this person. Maybe I can go and collab with them for, the OnlyFans, Minx, Many Vids, Loyal Fans, Minx, it goes on all of those places. Maybe I can collab with this guy for that. So, sometimes, I'll be there at AVN, and sometimes I've been hosting the red carpet interviews for Adult Empire. And all these people come along, and I'm like, ooh, you're cute, you're hot. And it's so funny.
You
I'm like,
next.
I'm interviewing them, and I'm like, ooh, yes, I could do you. And then next minute, it's like you're setting up a scene to shoot with them. So I really like to get the chemistry with people. A lot of the fans like, why don't you do this company? Why don't you do that? Why don't you shoot with this person? I'm like, I know that person. I don't feel the chemistry between us, you know? Like, I don't know. I feel people like someone's got a big ego or, the arrogant or I know they don't really care about the other performer within the scene. I don't want to shoot with you, you know? Um, I really, my fans are going to unlock my content where they're, very well very well established content creators, popular content creators or male performer porn stars that can really do the job. That's what my fans want to see and unlock. And, sometimes there are brand new content creators and they hit me up, and I'm like, I don't know if my fans would like you. I don't know whether they will unlock you. And I don't know you. And so I'm like, maybe when they got more established and they're being in the industry and maybe they're getting award nominated because they're doing a good job, then maybe I'll be like, maybe I'll try you. I'll meet you on the red carpet. You're hot. Yeah, I got the chemistry. Let's do it. So I love that I can pick and choose.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say in your case, I think it's a fantastic example how adult career can be also like conscious choice, and you
Hmm.
enjoy what you're doing because you're
Yes.
doing it with right people, with right production
Yeah.
team. But in general, like, is there a real chemistry
Mhm.
most of the times?
Yeah. So, back in the day, I would turn up to site, and sometimes your agent wasn't even going to tell you who it was. You turn up and you've got the guy, and you're like, okay, so I'm going to have sex with this guy. So you're going to try and find the chemistry with the guy. But not every other performer, it could be a girl as well. Sometimes I would shoot girls, I book girls for lesbian scenes, and they didn't want to lick a pussy. And they've never done it. They've never been with a girl in their life, and they really don't like girls. And you're on camera, and you're like, okay, we got to do something with this. So you'd have to change the scene up. That one, you would have to make the other girl become the aggressor and like just shove her in and you're really gonna like make this girl really doesn't like it. Well, we're gonna turn her so that she does like it. That had to become the premise, to try and get the scene going. But I've been on set with people and I've been on set with guys and they're doing it. They're either staring at the ceiling or they're staring at the cameraman. You're like, why are you staring at the cameraman when you've got this hot chick in front of you? Okay, you probably don't want to be in a scene with a girl. I've done some scenes like that, and I'm like, it's really difficult to find the chemistry. Maybe they just don't fancy you. You know, maybe they're just having a bad day. Maybe they've had an argument with a girlfriend and they don't want to look. Maybe they don't want to look at you because they're gonna pop them over the edge too quick. There's a myriad of reasons, but sometimes people just put the block. They just put the block there, and you're like, okay. So all I would do, I'd be like, this is gonna be great. I think about the fans. Think about the fans. I'm like, and I would just get myself off. I would just use their cock, and I would just think about the fans, shut my eyes, think about something else, not them. I'll be like, and then I look at the scene afterwards, I'm like, that's a good scene. Not because of them, because of me. I didn't want to go and do a really poor performance. So you really got to pull out the, oops, maybe with the mic, I'm getting excited. You really got to pull out the bag. If it's not working with the other person, you're the one. You've got to make that action happen. There's been times when the girl's in the bathroom and she's disappeared for 45 minutes and she comes back and she's off her head and you're like, did you just take something now? And you're like, I don't know whether you did or you didn't. It's like the director's like, no, it's fine. I'm like, okay,
think
fine.
director is giving her something just to
No,
keep her in.
no, I don't know. I don't mean the director's giving us something. I just mean the director's saying it's fine to carry on. I thought it's not my call. Sometimes people are just a little bit, they maybe they don't want to be there. So sometimes people switch off. And then you're having to deal with someone really doesn't want to be there. And you get challenges, there are challenges in there and you kind of got to work your way through it. Even to the point where I've had someone else, another girl, and she was supposed to be doing a nice sensual scene and she's trying to turn it into some kind of evil angel hardcore banging thing. And I'm like, okay, slowing it down. And, she just keeps trying to push me down. And I'm like, it's not the way it works. You've got to read the room. Sometimes you really got to read the room. And if the other person's pushing back and you're pushing and then pushing back, I'm like, that day, just I'm very placid. I'm very easygoing, but I literally gripped her and went, "If you do that to me again." And the crew just went, I was like, we can carry on now. But I like to be in control. I don't want to be pushed around or maneuvered in a way that I don't want to be. I'm gonna tap if something's not working, or I'm gonna stop the production if something's not right. And I think that's another thing as well that people should be aware of. Just because the director's telling you to do it doesn't mean you have to do it. You know? If that doesn't feel right for you, if you're uncomfortable, if you're in pain, if that's something that you didn't agree to do, call it. I'm not okay with this. That should be the that should be the side. You should be allowed to speak up and say it. I think sometimes people are afraid to speak up and say because like, oh, they might not get me back, or my agent might be mad, or might not get paid. There's a lot of things, but it's okay to speak your truth.
I've met so many different performers throughout all these years at XBs, at AVN, and I think there are like two main types, right? People who have control over their career and what they're doing, what's happening to them, like you, but there are not too many. And there are also a lot of newbies in the industry who come to LA for, I don't know, actor career to pursue this, and that. And then they get into the industry and it pays well
Mhm.
and it pays their bills and they take care of their look and their body and their clothes and everything.
Yeah.
And then like 2 years later they just get lost in the sauce and they don't know how it's supposed to work,
Mm.
especially when you're like 20 something years old.
Yeah.
And I know how some producers, even when they see me at the events, and if they don't know what do I do, they would try to approach me, and then I realize, oh my gosh, like how many people really get into that not consciously,
Mm.
but just because they're in need of money or
Yeah.
place to stay, they ended up here. So I think for younger performers or people who just enter the industry, it would be a very great conversation to listen to.
Yeah, there are directors that will expect favors in exchange for jobs. I'm sure that there are that. I think some of them have probably jokingly said it to me, and I've basically told them to jog on. Or they've offered me like, okay, if that's not going to work, we'll offer a really low amount of money. And really, like, she might. I'm like, well, I don't want to have sex with you. You're not the performer. You're the owner of the company, or you're the director of the scene. I don't want to have sex with you. I want to have sex with that other person, the person that you're paying me for. And I don't need to give you something extra offset, and I guess, it's in any industry, isn't it?
No, it's
It's
with our industry. I think it's a way worse because if you work on something that is like close to adult or adult entertainment, people automatically assume that they can pay you for sex and that sex is
mm,
something that you do all day long, every day.
24/7.
Yeah, they don't understand that sometimes. Like, I'm sure that
It's a
people
job.
like me or you would rather read a book than have sex or masturbate. But this stigma around the industry itself, I'm sure, makes you encounter this kind of people and disrespect a way
Mhm.
more often than any other industry.
Yeah, yeah. I guess I can handle it, probably a lot more than other people because a lot of things don't affect me. Years ago, they would have affected me, but I'm just like we got a lot of bad people trying to talk crap to us online, and I just go, you know what, block, bye bye, bye bye, bye bye, bye bye, and they usually go and find someone else that they can poke at and they can kind of get their drama from. I see some girls and they're really entertaining these people. I'm like, oh God.
Like, your light is brighter than this bullshit.
Yeah, I don't have the time. I really don't have the time to deal with all that crap and that energy. I've got better things to focus on in my life. So, I just, people will approach me and I'm just like, I don't know, just go and ask someone else instead. Um, so yes. Or I just laugh at them, you know?
And then sometimes, like, even selling sex toys, right? Having sex with a guy for the first time. And he thinks automatically that if that's what I do right now, I will open all the drawers and we will try everything, including like penis pump and this, and that, everything that he wished he tried before, but he
Yeah.
never had the chance. So, yeah, there is a lot of stigma.
Now, I was going to say, I think for me, my real life sex is not necessarily the same what's on camera. I would be like, oh, on camera, you put high energy, you're getting time. The director's like, I need like X number a minute of this, like high energy, bang, bang, bang. And you're like, okay. And you really get into it. And it's like, yes, yes, yes. And sometimes it can be very raw, like really passion. I just did a scene with Chocolate God and Phoenix Marie and Rachel Cavalli and me, and we were like these girls trying to get into the club, and the bouncer's like, girls, coming in. We're like, "Oh, yes, we are." We get them in and we banging them in the private VIP area lounge thing. And it was a great scene, but it was just like raw. I saw Phoenix Marie afterwards and she's like, when chocolate God picked you up and just dropped you and it went bow and you just got back up. I was like, just the adrenaline. I was like so into it. In my bedroom, am I gonna get that? No.
That's a good question.
You're not gonna get that. I wanna make love, I wanna feel the passion, I wanna feel the chemistry. It's like, I'm not performing, I'm just doing what feels good. There's 2 different things. If you want a performance, now you're gonna make me perform. And now it's like, okay, but what am I gonna get out of it? Am I gonna get a really hot scene that I can watch and the fans can watch again? No, it's just high performance for you. I'm just like, you know what? You want high performance, you give me
You give it to me
it's like,
back.
you give it back to me. Show me what you can do. If that's what you want, show it to me.
I think maybe that's the reason why a lot of people from the industry on the performer side date people from the industry, because in the real life, there are a lot of micro penises out there. In the real life,
There
there are a
are.
lot of people who don't know how to lick pussy, how to give a
Yeah,
blowjob, or how to trust, how to not to finish in the first 5 minutes. Yeah. So then you have
yeah.
to,
It's a scale.
you have to date like 10 people, and then out of 10, maybe two will perform
It
on your
depends.
level.
Or
If you're
just
lucky.
shove them down in between your legs and teach them what to do with their mouth. Or slow them down. They're going
Love
too
it.
fast, or, they think clamping and biting on nipples is the thing that you like. Well, no, actually, I don't like that, but I'm assuming that you like that. So let me try it on you. You're kind of like picking up from somebody, like, what do they like? What do they want to do? Um, Usually based on how they're doing it to you. But I just do the things that I like. But yeah, the sex on camera, there could be a lot of stops, there could be, a lot of cuts. You're sometimes you're told what positions to go in. The guy I'm working with is usually an athlete that can lift me and turn me around and put me all these different ways. Sometimes I don't have to do a thing. When I did my first boy girl scene back with Phoenix Marie, Phoenix Marie was my first girl scene back. My first boy girl scene back was with Kieran Lee. And I was so used to, I have to perform, I have to say these things while I'm like really enjoying it. And I just went to him, okay. And he just threw me around the bed and I was like, oh, oh, oh. And I was like, I barely spoke because I was like, you know what? I want to experience something where I don't have to think about what I'm doing. You're gonna do all the work. Like you're just gonna fuck me and you're just gonna like make me feel good. And he did it. And I was just like, "Oh my God, that's a
Thank you.
different kind of
Work and
scene."
pleasure all at once, right?
Yes.
Sure, by now a lot of our viewers will get like very excited about watching your videos. But you also have a stroker that was molded after your pussy.
Oh, yes, I do.
So please tell us a little bit, how did that happen and
Oh my
what the
God.
process was looking like? And we actually have the stroker right
Yes.
in here.
Yes, this is me. Feel Tanya. So you can feel me so the fans can get to actually feel me. So it's like a stroker, it's made from a mold of my vagina. So yeah, so I kind of had to go there. We had to do the mold, I had to open my legs and stick it all in and you
So
know
what did you stick in? Tell us details.
yeah, well, it's like a plaster of
Okay.
Paris thing. So you kind of have to lay back, spread your legs, get yourself a little bit turned on. And they just kind of put it on, and you kind of just lay there.
Okay.
So you're like laying there, and it's a certain amount of time, and then after that, it's set, and they take it, and then that's what they use as a mold. So this is, the fans can put themselves inside me. This is great. I love it's from Kiro and it's Feel Tanya. So feeltanya.com. You can go to it there. This can become interactive. So the guys, they can put themselves in me and you can connect it to a movie and there's me like stroking or sucking or riding. I can really feel like it. And you can also get it with a box where you can stick it on and it does all the work for you. You just lay there as the guy, shut your eyes. It's like as though I'm doing all the work on you. Like,
Wow, this sounds so exciting. You gotta really love your pussy to get a stroker molded after it.
yes.
So now we're gonna play a little game.
A little game.
Yes. Please close your eyes.
Close my eyes. Oh my God. What are you doing to me, Kate?
Here I have three strokers of
Right.
different women,
Oh
and one
no.
of them belongs to you. Can you please recognize which one is yours
Oh my
just
God.
by touching it?
Oh my God. Okay. I'm going to start on this side. I can't even figure out which is the top or the bottom. Okay, that's the clit.
That's the clip.
That's the clit. These are the lips.
Yes.
Okay, these are quite small lips. I don't think this is mine because I don't think my inner lips hang down more than my outer lips. I don't think so. Last time I looked, I do like the clit. It does have a nice clit on that one. I don't know who that is. I don't think that's me. Um, okay, this has got another nice clit on. Ooh. Oh, hold on, there's the clit. Oh God, it might do. I'm not sure. It feels a nice clit. I like that. I'm just trying to put myself. I mean, I don't need to shut my eyes. I've got it. This is possibly. I don't know. I can't tell. Can't tell. It's got nice lips. I don't know. I can't tell. This is a possibly me. It's a possibly. Was this the third one? Oh God, it feels the same. It feels like the same as
I
number
mean, they're all
two.
made of TPE, so they all feel like real skin, but
Oh my
which
God.
one you drawn to the most?
This one I can't feel the clit as much, but I don't know whether that's just the way the process was.
Let's get inside and see.
Hold on, where's this? Oh my God, I can't tell. Ooh, I really can't tell. Oh God, what if I get it wrong?
Nothing's gonna happen. We understand that you are not playing with the stroker all day long.
I know. I think I'm gonna go with number three. Oh my God, did I get it right?
No.
Was it number two?
Well, it was number two. Yes.
Oh,
It's all good. It's all
number
good.
two. It had a bigger clit on number two. I don't know why I didn't get that one.
Here you go.
Oh, this. Who's this
Three,
one?
and yours was right here.
Two, yeah. Do you know what? I should have known because of the clit, and I was feeling it like that, and I was like, and I thought, did it? Obviously, I was very turned on. I was like that. I couldn't.
No, you like this one
I
better
I
from the
did like the
beginning.
clit.
You said, "Oh, this is such a nice clit, such a nice."
I did. I like that. It is a nice clit, but it felt the same. Like I know it doesn't. It looks completely different, but it was feeling the same.
Yes.
But this one definitely had the nicer clit. There we go.
So now you know. Now you know how to recognize it just by touching. But yeah, other than that, looks exactly like yours. Congratulations.
Do you know,
on
thank
your
you. I've done scenes
molded
where
toy.
I've like held that next to me and like I've played with both. It's like it's super hot. It's like here I am playing with my Feel Tanya Kiwi stroker. So you all want to get one of these. Feeltanya.com. There you go. So simple.
Yeah, and you can connect it to video with Tanya,
Yes.
to interactive porn. You can put it
Yes.
inside of the Keon. You can combine it with Power Blow for suction.
Yeah, that one's a good one. It feels like you're getting a blowjob. It's like feels you stick this in and then it feels like a
Yeah, you can even sync it to your own porn video.
do all the work.
Synchronize every movement
I do
of
all
the
the work.
toy.
You just lay back and think of Tanya Tate British MILF.
So did Kira come to you with this idea, or
Yes, they approached me. So I was very honored to be a part. Kira, based in the Netherlands, an amazing company, and the fans can get me worldwide. So yeah, you can get it online or you can get it in the stores.
Congratulations, Tanya. And yeah,
Thank you.
please check out the stroker. That's very impressive that besides the fact that you even have this wallet after you, you are also an amazing mother. And could you please tell our viewers who might think that if their parent, it disqualifies them from pursuing their passions, pursuing their
Mm.
careers? Because the thing is that as humans we have more than one role in
Yeah.
life, right?
Yeah.
So your role can be a mother, a teacher, businesswoman, whatever it is, but you successfully combine all of that in one person.
Yeah. Yeah. I think people, sometimes they think, oh, you're a porn star, you can't have kids. Well, we all have sex. Just some people have sex on camera and some people don't. So it's not really any different. And for me, it's like, I'm proud of the person that I am. And I do this work in an environment that is not, you know, I'm away somewhere else. It's safe. And if you are a parent, it doesn't stop you from becoming a porn star, becoming a content creator by getting an OnlyFans account. It does not exclude you. And the only way that people think it excludes them because the way that other people think about them. you know for me, it's this is me. You like me or you don't like me. And people, they see me as a person first, and then maybe sometimes some of them later might find out, oh, she's a porn star. And that has happened. Of our cousins, and they found out because they were watching a movie and work, and suddenly I appear on the screen. That's probably kind of it could be a bit devastating if you suddenly find out that way. But I'm still the same person. And I think, just because you have children doesn't mean you can't pursue this career. And just because you're in this career doesn't mean that you then can't have children. I know a lot of people in this industry that do have kids. Some of them do not openly say that they have kids, for personal reasons, whatever. And I always respect that. But yeah, if this is something that you want to do, as long as you're willing to be stand proud, and when the time's right, in a age appropriate way, explain it to them when they're older, or be there to support them if they have questions, and answer in an age appropriate way. And I have a good support team. I'm a single mom, but I have a good support team around me. So when the day comes, at some point I've got there's me, and I have other people there to kind of help, guide, and be educational about it, and let them know it's okay, it's safe. And so yeah.
Yeah, what other people think about you is just a noise, and you are not $100 bill to be liked by everyone. That's
Yeah.
100%.
Even if I didn't do this job, there's still going to be people that don't like me. There's a lot of some people have jealousy. It's and hate in their hearts. It's not a good energy. You don't need it because you're just as good as me. We all have different skills, and we all have different amazing things about us.
Judgment comes from emptiness or lack of something. So,
Lack of love for themselves.
exactly. If you're coming from the place of love, you don't care about those things. And to be honest with you, if I ever have kids, I'll be happy if they just watch my YouTube videos about sex education instead of making those mistakes themselves and
Mm,
learning from their mistakes. You are definitely in peace with yourself, and
mm.
please tell us maybe like some advice for performers, for creators, for people who are thinking about starting a career in this industry, what you have learned and what made you a woman you are today.
Yeah, I think you have to believe in yourself and know that this is something that you want to do. You have to be 100% sure, because once you do it, you can't change your mind. You can't be like, "Oh, I changed my mind. I don't want to do it." Or ask people to take it down offline. It's not coming offline. You've signed releases, you've given your consent. You can't take the consent away. So it's always going to be there. So that's a really big thing. After this industry, if you want to move on to another industry, not every industry is going to accept you because of that career. There is a stigma with it. There may be a stigma with friends, family. People may find out and not want to talk to you anymore. Well, you've got to be aware that these things may happen, and just stand proud and be like, this is really what I wanted to do, and this is the choice that you make to do. And make sure that you are making good choices. You're doing the things that you want to do. Look at other people, like, who do you aspire to be? Look at them. What are the good moves that they're making? You know, how are they handling themselves online? Who are they shooting for? What are they doing? Who are they shooting with? You know, find out about them and aspire to do some of the amazing things that they might be doing. You know, reach out to them, ask them. Sometimes they might answer you, you know, give you some advice, you know. Someone's asking me and I'm happy to, you know, kind of answer them kind of thing. Um, so it's just, you know, believe in yourself, do a good job, always make the set something pleasant, you know, always make people want to welcome you back. You know, even if you get there and it's like, oh, it doesn't feel like it's going to be the best day, you got to make it the best day. You know, always put that full effort into it and, you know, make people remember you for all the good things and definitely save your money, invest it, and make sure that you have something so that when you come out the other side, you've got something that you can be like, hey, this is what I did, this is my career, and this is what I've earned from it.
Mindset, inspiration, and believing in yourself
Yeah.
and not quitting.
Yeah.
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 The difference between successful person and person who hasn't achieved success is the one quit and the other hasn't.
Have your vision, you know what your goal is, you know what you want to be, you know what you want to do, and just strive to get there. You know, just keep picturing it every day, just keep picturing it. You know, for example, IVF journey, every day I'd be picturing, I'd go in the room, I'd picture holding the baby, I picture the feelings, how it felt, you know. Like what do you want to do? You want to go and walk the AVN red carpet. Is that what you want to do? Picture yourself there, picture yourself getting your dress, getting your hair and makeup done, going down looking all fabulous, how you feel, how you walk, and the people taking the cameras, the pictures, how you feel when you're smiling. Put yourself there. And some time later, you'll be walking that red carpet and you'll go, deja vu, been here before. Yeah, you have. You've been there before in your mind and now you're here physically.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Manifestation and actually feeling your future and how you feel at that moment. Many different techniques, many different teachings, even ancient teachings, they all point out to that, and it is working. I
Yeah.
don't know whether people globally are getting it or just we in California are getting it faster than others because it's a
Yeah.
very spiritual land, and the fact that like sage only grows here and there are so many other
Hmm.
factors. But I 100% agree with you because if you are not in harmony with yourself, and if you cannot really face yourself and your soul, and if you don't have this balance between like your mind, body, and soul, because your mind sometimes tricks you into things that
Hmm.
you really don't need. Your mind is projecting a lot of things, but
Yeah.
your soul, your feelings, your love, this stays true throughout life.
Yeah. Yeah. It is so true, you know. Don't like be like, oh, I think that's gonna be good, or I'm gonna make loads of money from that, but it's not going to be to your higher purpose. You know, it's not going to make you feel the best. You know, whatever it is, it's why don't you choose that thing instead? Might not give you more as much money, but you know what? You're going to get more satisfaction, more fulfillment, more personal experience, more personal love from that. And you know, it's sometimes it's that simple. You know, you just gotta. What is the best choice for me right now? What feels right?
Yeah, listen to yourself, guys. Listen to your intuition. And the best choices in life are made when you're just going for what you feel, right?
Yeah,
Thank you so much. It was really interesting to get to know you as a person because I knew your persona, but
yeah,
it's so different from your personality.
yeah,
And I'm sure our viewers by this time understood like how deeper you are and how, not in not literally, but how much wisdom and how much gratitude, how much warmth and love you
yeah.
have, and you have enough to share with your fans,
Yeah.
to make them become better people, to
Yeah.
make them feel better about themselves, about their sexuality, about their sex lives. And thank you so much for what you're doing. I know that what we're all doing is kind of hard because there is a lot of judgment around, there's a lot of
Yeah.
stigma around, but I'm sure when we have people like you in this industry, we're gonna fight the judgment with our love successfully. Please tell us where to find you, what's next, any projects, where should we recommend our viewers to go
Yeah.
to
You
get
know,
in touch with you?
I'm on all the platforms, OnlyFans, Minx. Many vids, loyal fans, clips of sale, adult empire. I could keep going on. Horror movies, AVN. So you can see all of my brand new content. It gets shown on OnlyFans first, and then it goes to all the other platforms that I'm on. It's just check it all out. My handle is Tanya Tate on all of them. I'm also on X, formerly Twitter, at Tanya Tate. I'm on Instagram, Tanya Tate Create. I'm on YouTube, Tanya Tate Tube. I'm on TikTok. I can't remember which one it is on there. And I also have a link tree. Link tree, the handle is Tanya Tate. So go and check that out. I do have a podcast as well, Tanya Tate Skinfluencer Success. So they can find that on my YouTube channel, which is again Tanya Tate Tube. It's all there. But you can find me online. And if you really want to connect with me, let's get on a call on Minx.
So everybody can get on a call with you on Minx,
Yes.
right? Because
Yes.
that's the first time I hear about
Yes,
the thing.
they can go on it, minx.co/Tanya Tate.
Okay.
And you just go on there and you just, text me and I answer back. And then you can click the button and it'll call and I'll answer on my phone. If you don't believe it's me, you click the video button and you get to see me and you're having a conversation with me. It's just there. Click. Hi.
It's very interesting that now there are so many ways to connect with your favorite performers, right?
Yes. I love it because, years ago, all it was like, a webcam where it was stream mates and they took a massive percentage, they give us 35%. And then all the webcam shows, they owned them all and all their fans kept watching them for free. And it was like the biggest scam going. I was like, 35% and you still get to use all our content as well. So, we've come a long way from that. So yeah. So fabulous. I love my fans. I love them keeping in touch with me and I love uplifting them every single day.
You talk to your fans like every day?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Even when I was coming here, I'm talking to my fan on the phone. He's driving with me. We're here. I'm put me makeup on. He's talking to me. He's checking in. I'm sending him. Here I am right now. I'm sending him a picture of now. My fans, the ones that really want to get to know me, they can have that access to me.
So nobody like manages your accounts and
It's
writes
me.
it for you, right?
No, it's me. It's like, here I am. And, some guys, they just want to like jerk off and whatever. But the ones that really want to get to know me, they get to know a lot about me. And I don't always put it on social media because I don't have time. And there I am, here I am. And it was like, that was from 2 months ago, the picture on social media. I can't keep up. But the fans that are out there with me every single day, there are ones and they are. And, the ones on OnlyFans, they come in and they're spoiling me every day. And there we are. We're having some like cheeky conversations. We're having some cute conversations. They're sharing like, here I am, there I am. This is what I'm doing today. So, we get to share a lot, and but I think it's the ones where I really get to feel is the phone calls and the video chats because it's there. That's the truest interaction that I can have with my fans. And of course, the live streams.
They probably fall in love with you very quickly if you start talking.
I've had a few fans fall in love with me, yes. They're all amazing.
Yeah, and that's very interesting because I have never heard about that app. Is it new or
Well, it's Sex Panther. It was like Sex Panther was the main app for the
okay?
longest time. And then what they did, they made a white label. And on the white label, it's just people that are in the adult entertainment industry that have got certain amount of followers on social media that have made movies with mainstream, triple X production companies. So you have to be a certain, meet a few check boxes before they'll let you be part of that platform. But yeah, it was Sex Panther. It's now Sex Panther for porn stars. So if you're a fan that really just wants to connect with your favorite porn star, you can go on there and you can click and you see some of my friends. But don't click them, click on me.
So, for any creators who are watching, I think you gained a lot of insights. Any other maybe favorite platforms that you would recommend to new creators to explore?
I think it's just all the main ones. Look at the talent, the porn stars or the content creators that you aspire to be, and look and see where they are. See what they're doing. How are they using their YouTube? How are they using their Instagram, their free social media? What platforms are they on? But for me, it's like OnlyFans, Minx/Sex Panther, loyal fans, many vids. I'd say probably Those ones are like the main four for me, you know. But, OnlyFans and Minx, I like both of them, but they work different ways, you know. So, yeah, and I guess you've really got to figure out how to manage them because it takes a lot, you know. But you can use a lot of shortcuts. You can schedule, you can do mass messages, you can do locked pay-per-views, you can do, section sessions, you can run specials, you can do live streams. You really want to see what your fans want and try and give them what they want, but also to find out, look at the other people that, if it was me and I was new, I would look at other MILFs. Who are the other hot MILFs? Who do I think, I'm a busty blonde MILF. Who am I going to look at? I might go and look at Cherie DeVille or Alexis Fox, I might look at some other MILFs, Elizabeth Schuyler, Phoenix Marie. I'm going to go and look at them and see, you know, who else, there's Shay Fox, there's so many girls, and I would kind of go and look at all of these and think, I like them, I like that. Yes, yes. What are they doing? Oh, that's interesting. That's nice. And you're not stealing from it, but you're being inspired by it. And everything that they're doing is not going to be right for you, but you might take pieces of each of the good things that you see that you think that might work for me. Take a little piece of it and put it together and try it out and see if how it works and see how your fans react, see if they're accepting of it, see if they like it, what are they unlocking, what are they telling you that's really great. Make more of that.
What do you think is the future of the industry? Is it connection like this with your fans, or is it VR? Is it AI, or what is that?
I mean, like, I don't have a magic wand, but for me, the future for me is definitely my personal connection with my fans. I want more of that. Like, I'm an older lady. I don't need to go and
Stop.
bang, 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 bang. I want to get that connection. And I find that really fulfilling. Like, it really fills my heart, and if I can get more of that, and in general, there is the VR. And I would love to do a little bit of VR at some point because, the fans have been talking to me about it and telling me how immersed it is. And, one of the fans, I did an interview and they didn't know anything about me because they only watch VR porn. And he was telling me, it's like, I only watched it and I didn't know you, but it really brings you in. I'm like, that's interesting. Maybe I should look a little bit more into that. Um,
Maybe.
yeah.
Yes,
And then, of course,
absolutely.
there's the AI as well. So we don't know where the AI future is going to go or where the AI future is going to take us, but it's, it, there is, some of the talent do have the AI me. Do I like it? Do I want to move forward with it? I want to see where it's going first. I don't want to sign my likeness, my rights, my AI over. Maybe I want to do my own AI project. That would be perfect for me. Let me do my own AI project. Let me see how that goes before I'll start venturing into some of the others. So yeah, so interacting with the fans, maybe try a little bit of VR and definitely my own personal AI project. I think that would be perfect.
Yeah, VR is definitely the next best thing. On the previous podcast, we were trying VR here for the first time, VR porn. It's a
Yeah.
mind blowing experience. Have you tried
Wow.
it?
No.
Oh my gosh.
But I
Oh my
heard.
gosh. It'll open your eyes on that. Why they are telling you this? Because, yeah, to be honest with you, even though I'm a woman and there are not too many videos that are POV from the woman's side,
Yeah.
but the whole experience of it, the fact that you are literally there at this villa somewhere in Malibu and all this person, it's not even like, it's not solely about sex, it's also about everything that is around you, and it's like
Yeah.
360 view. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we'll talk about that. All right, Tanya, I'm very excited about the future, and everybody who got excited watching this, please check out tanyatate.com website
Yeah.
and this amazing stroker from Kira.
Yeah.
And I hope you guys enjoyed exploring Tanya's journey and her insights and her perspective on life, on her career and adult industry as a whole. And thank you so much for sharing with us your story. It's very inspiring, I'm sure, for many people who will be watching this, for many creators who are just thinking about starting a career in this industry. We really appreciate you being here on
Oh,
In Bed
thank
with
you.
Kate or In Bed with Tanya.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me here, giving me a platform to speak to the fans, to speak to your viewers. And, I hope that if they like just a little piece, even if it's just a little piece of what they heard today, then that's great.
I'm sure there'll be a lot of pieces that will become viral at some point, especially with your stroke. Thank you so much, Tanya. And you are an amazing woman, an amazing human being, and an amazing performer. But first of all, amazing woman and an amazing human being. Thank you for your love that you share with the world and keep going.
Thank you. You're amazing. I'm sorry I keep playing with me pussy now. I hope that's
I mean,
a nice a nice outro to our meeting.
I totally understand. It's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous vagina. And
Thank you,
the
Kate.
proud owner of this vagina is right here sitting with us in Hollywood today. Thank you guys so much. And I'll see you next time in Bed with Kate.